First of all, I have a cold, if you can't tell already by my horrific voice. Second of all, I've hit 300 subscribers! Thank you, Kian, from school, for getting everybody in RE to subscribe to my channel. Now that I've hit 300 subscribers, I can do another Q&A, and more importantly, another shoey. So, let's get straight into your questions. Question number 1. So we're going to read from the bottom and work our way up. I'm going to put it in terms of the order that I want it in. It's going to be in terms of when the person made the question. So, let's begin. First question is from @planes4me. And the two questions: favourite V8 supercars driver and your thoughts on Oscar Piastri, next Australian F1 driver, question mark in brackets. Now, first of all, my favourite V8 supercars driver is Fabian Coulthard, because he is David Coulthard's cousin, and he's probably one of only about 4 drivers I've actually heard of, and I think Piastri will get to F1 one day with the Renault Academy. If Zhou isn't good enough in F2, then that seat will go to either Piastri or Lundgaard, or maybe even both of them, because Alonso ain't going to last long. Question number 2 from @SwiftyRB26, and his question is, what are your thoughts on Honda leaving F1? I am very sad that Honda are leaving F1. It could have potentially killed F1. Check out Donut Media's video on that. VW unfortunately killed F1 by accident. And obviously the guy who did the video mentioned if Toro Rosso and Red Bull lost Honda, that would be disastrous consequences for them and potentially even F1. And that's happened, and I'm very sad because obviously now we only have 3 engine manufacturers, and that's not good for the sport, because that's the least most in the history of F1. And now we have 5 questions from Alex the Great. His first one is, when do you see Lewis Hamilton retiring? I think Lewis Hamilton will retire at the end of 2021 once he overtakes Schumacher, and then George Russell will get the Mercedes seat. Number 2, do you see Hamilton as the GOAT? I will answer that later on, due to a very similar question that gets asked. Question number 3, who on the current grid would you think is able to fight with Hamilton in the same car they're both comfortable in, apart from Verstappen? I think Charles Leclerc, because he's beaten Sebastian Vettel, definitely. Seb isn't at his best, but he's not doing badly. He's probably performing where the car should be, and Leclerc is outdoing that. Obviously, last year Leclerc got the pole trophy and outqualified Vettel in most races, had he not, but due to unfortunate circumstances, he didn't beat him in all of them, more mainly Azerbaijan and Canada, when he crashed in Azerbaijan, and Vettel was just quicker than him in Canada. And question number 4 and 5, should Bottas be dropped for Mercedes? No. Well, it depends on the situation. If there's a young driver in the wings, definitely George Russell, but he is a good driver, but Hamilton just makes him look like he's, I'm trying to think of a good example, like he is Giancarlo Fisichella compared to Fernando Alonso. Bottas is a good driver, but Hamilton makes him look stupid, because Hamilton is one of the GOATs of F1. And question number 5, a bit of a memey question, is Marcus Winkelhock overrated? No. Marcus Winkelhock is a legend. If he was in, say, the Red Bull, and they gave him the same strategy, he'd have won the bloody race. Because he wouldn't have had mechanical problems, because the Red Bull was more reliable than the Spiker. Marcus Winkelhock is a damn good driver. And then we have 5 questions from Viandra, or Motorsport Fanboy. When did you start watching F1? Can't remember, probably 2012 or 13. Do you watch MotoGP? If so, who's your favourite rider? Definitely Valentino Rossi. My dad and I have supported him for quite a few years now. Who will win Formula Regional European Championship, which is between F3 and F4, Petikov or Leclerc? I think Petikov. Well, I hope Petikov, because he deserves a drive in F3. Many people think that on Twitter. Where do you think Grosjean Magnussen will go after F1? Formula E is the only realistic option. Maybe Magnussen might go to IndyCar, or they could end up either IndyCar or Formula E. And who is your favourite YouTuber, past and present? Past, everybody at school made fun of me for this. Stampy Longnose. He's a Minecraft YouTuber. I watched him when I was like 7 or 8, and I watched him for quite a few years. I didn't actually like YouTube in those days. He was the only YouTuber I watched. Then I got YouTube. I made a YouTube account, and my favourite YouTuber, it's mainly Josh Revel and JWF1. Obviously, I'm friends with both of them, which is, I'm very grateful for that fact. Question from HXB2006 or Hubie. If you could become the team principal of any F1 team, which would it be? Now, I would say Ferrari, just so I could get rid of Binotto. I'd give the team 2 years to do a good job, and if they didn't do a good job, I'd get rid of some of the guys, hire youngsters in, get them in, give them a few years, etc. What has been your favourite moment of this F1 season? From iRacing Fan 9, the only guy who actually watches my live streams sometimes, other than Luke. I have to say Gasly's win at Monza, or Leclerc's podium in Silverstone and in Austria. I wasn't that happy when Leclerc got the podium, because I thought that was the pace we were going to be at that season, but boy, I was wrong. If you could race in any category, what would it be? Hang on. This phone charger keeps unplugging. My phone's only on 2%. If I could race in any category, what would it be? From Will Anderson. I would race in probably Formula 2, due to how equal the category is, and just to prove to people that I'm a good driver, if, you know, I was a racing driver. And here we go, a question from Jack Milton, Chronos F1. Are you up to date with the MotoGP season? Do you think Rossi should call it quits with how his season's going? Will Johan Mir even win a race this season? And will Alex Marquez be the next world champion? This year has been mental for him. Question mark. Well, Chronos, I am up to date on the MotoGP season. I've watched every single race this season. That's more than my dad. Do you think Rossi should call it quits? No, he's had quite a bit of bad luck. He did fall off a few times while in good positions. I think, due to how good Petronas' bike is, basically Yamaha's bike from last year, I think Rossi could do even better than he's doing right now next year. Even though he's 40, he'll be 42 at the end of next year. Will Johan Mir even win a race this year? You never know. It's MotoGP. Anything can happen. One round it could be KTM that's winning. The next it could be Suzuki. Next it could be Honda. The next it could be, of course, Yamaha. Will Alex Marquez be the next world champion? After this year, probably not. I think his brother might return and do pretty well still. But I think he will be pretty good next year if he'll get used to the bike, the LCR bike. Keep in mind he's not going to be on Honda's bike next year. He's replacing the retiring Crutchlow. Now, question from Kyle Fujiwara. Is Sebastian still a good enough driver for F1? And is Tatiana Calderon good enough for Formula 2? First of all, yes, Vettel is a good driver. He just isn't in a good car right now that doesn't suit him. And Calderon is not good enough for Formula 2. She's a bit like Galil. I think she would be much better in touring cars or Le Mans, etc. If you were to pick any motorsport, what would you race? Again, I already said this, Formula 2 from, that's my friend Luke, Mr. Storm. When did you get into motorsport? Favourite F1 driver? Is there a lower driver in the lower formulas that you think will make it to F1 and be successful there? Favourite circuits and dream F1 calendar from Rasheen. Now, this is going to be a long one. I got into motorsport, I can't remember. I already said specifically F1 is what else he said. F1 around 2012-13 probably. When did I get into motorsport? I got into MotoGP 2013-2014 time. And I've been into motorsport most of my life. First racing event I ever went to, 2014 or 15 British touring cars at Knockhill. Favourite F1 driver? All time, probably Jim Clark. Currently, I have to say Sebastian Vettel. Is there a driver in lower formulas that you think will make it to F1, F3 or lower? Alex O'Grady. I'm kidding. Alex might, you never know. But I have to say, probably Gianluca Petikov, hopefully, and Arthur Leclerc. And be successful, slightly difficult. Favourite circuits? Watkins Glen, Spa-Francorchamps, Monza, Silverstone, Hockenheim, Monaco, sort of Canada, Spielberg, Imola, and probably Turkey. Dream F1 calendar. The 10 I already mentioned, plus a few extra races. I might make a separate video on that. And then we have 3 questions from my schoolmates, Cian Logan and Ollie Byrne. Ollie Byrne says Lewis or Michael. Check back with me in a year and I'll give you a defined answer for that. Who's best at Among Us you've played with? I'm gonna say Tom. Sorry, I'm not supposed to say his name. I'll just thingy that out. Yes, you, Cian. 2D got you to 300. Yes, I know. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. The shoey. Here it is. Here this is. And now, I will drink it. Put the American National Anthem on. This will be edited.